Welcome to Lagniappe, a program about events, issues, and people. I'm Cory Crowe. I'm joined today by Meredith McKinney, Assistant Director of Composition at ULM, and Dr. Leigh Hersey, Assistant Professor of Political Science. And today we're talking about who gets to vote. Welcome. Thank you both for being with us today on Lagniappe.
Thank you so much for having us, Cory. We're excited.
This is a series that's been going on at ULM. Dr. Hersey, who gets to vote? And earlier this year, you guys met and talked about voting rights in America and where we are and where we're headed. This time, sort of a new topic. Tell me what's coming up this time.
Absolutely, be happy to. So next Tuesday, August 23rd, we will be discussing the Woman's Hour, the great fight to win the vote. And we're really looking at the women's suffrage movement. And I really like this particular book because it really focuses on the end point. And in how Tennessee was the last state to ratify the amendment and how that all came together. And that makes it a really interesting and different perspective than maybe what a lot of other things you might have heard about it.
Meredith McKinney with us. And Meredith, I guess there may be some young folks out there that don't know women haven't always been allowed to vote. It was 1910 that women got the go-ahead to vote.
Yeah, it was 1919, actually.
Oh, 1919.
Yeah. And, 35 states had ratified the amendment. You know, we need two-thirds of the state to agree before it actually goes in the Constitution. And Tennessee was the last one. And what's interesting about this topic is that suffrage was kind of divided between the parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. You had pro and against on both sides. So you had the antis, obviously, against suffrage, and the suffragettes volleying back and forth, working between the men during the legislature to try to get this passed. It was really interesting.
So, I mean, I understand from a man's point of view, being a guy, I could see like, hey, guys, we're in control. Let's keep our control. Were there women that were against other women voting?
Absolutely. It may be surprising to other women to say, hey, they wouldn't, but no, they really felt that traditionally, the women's place was in the home, and that by going out and voting and taking a part in civil society outside the home would lead to the demoralization of the country. So they really did not think women should have that privilege and that what became a right to vote.
And you've been looking at who gets the opportunity. Tell me a little bit about the last session. You guys got together a month or so back and had some discussions there. What were you talking about in that one?
Yeah, we've talked with Littman's book and basically an overview of voting rights history in America. And it was really interesting because we launched with themes from the book, but what was really interesting in this community discussion was you had people from all different generations, from all different places. We had a lot of states represented, a lot of countries represented. It was interesting to see not only how different voting in America is to other countries, but by state, you know, by paper, or whether they go in a ballot box or this, or how it's counted, whether you can vote down ticket, whether you go down each line, and just hearing everybody's experiences was really, really interesting.
Something that is interesting on a college campus, we get a little broader view of the world because we've got international students and people from other countries who are here. Talk to me a little bit about their input in the voting process and what you're learning about how it's different in other places.
Absolutely. So one of the interesting things always about this is this kind of misunderstanding maybe or not understanding why people don't vote here when voting rights tend to be, or voting turnout tends to be so much higher in other countries. And so we went into a really interesting discussion about why it is here, why we vote so often here compared to other countries. We got into this discussion around ID cards, which has been going around, and how that's played out in other countries. And then some other representatives maybe did not have the opportunity to vote as much. And so that's always an interesting piece to hear from folks from other countries that had different experiences and bringing those to the table.
The book you guys are reading this time, and by the way, it's not required you read the book to come to the discussion, but it does give you a basis for what you're going to be talking about. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Yeah, this focuses on that last little effort to get that 36th state of Tennessee to ratify the amendment. Yeah. And you have the scrambling of the aunties and the suffragettes, and then the politicians, and then the governor's running for re-election, and can this person get through the primary? So they're all weighting the political decision more so than the moral decision. This
is an ongoing discussion at ULM, and you're going to have another one coming up on my birthday, by the way, September 20th. Tell me what you're going to be looking at then.
We're going to be reading about the Voting Rights Act. The book is called Bending Toward Justice, the Voting Rights Act and the Transformation of American Democracy by Gary May. And then on October 11th, for our final meeting, we're going to be discussing M. Jones' Vanguard, how Black women broke barriers, won the vote, and insisted on equality for all. I think throughout this whole series, Cory, you're really seeing the influence women play in the political process, even when they didn't have political power. They managed to harness it, and it's really fascinating to read about.
It is.
Let's. We've got about a minute or so left. I want to ask you, women are, I don't know what the exact number is, half of our population.
A little more.
How's that working out in Congress, in the Senate, and that sort of thing, and where are we headed?
It's roughly only about 25% of Congress represented by women, and it's been about 2 years since I did the calculations, but there's only literally a handful of women representing state legislature here in Louisiana, and that's below the national average.
And here in our area, we are represented by a woman.
We do have some good, strong representation here. With Mayor in West Monroe, Stacey Mitchell, and also several council members. So we do have better representation here, but it's not reaching the state, and that's a whole nother book.
Who gets to vote? Coming up Tuesday night, 6 p.m., the 23rd of August at the ULM Library, 458 is the room number. Meredith McKinney and Dr. Leigh Hersey with me today. Meredith, for folks to find out more and get involved in this event, where can they go to learn more?
Yeah, you can go on our Facebook page, Who Gets to Vote, ? Library Reading and Discussion Program, or you can just email me, mckinney@ulm.edu. That is McKinney@ulm.edu.
That is Who Gets to Vote, coming up on Tuesday night, 6 p.m., ULM Library, Tuesday the 23rd. Find out more at KEDM.org. Coming up on KEDM's Morning Edition.